I don't know what nicer way to put it.
So let me ask you, I know that going back to the topic of you claiming that he raped you. Now, when you were you in a relationship, because I think some people may not understand, like I don't know did it happen when you were together or not, but I think for some people may not
What
understand that.
difference did it make? You know?
Well, I was about to say whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, a woman always has the right to say no, or a man has the right to say no, because men too.
I I
But
Hmm.
I
what
feel like
happened?
this is a good thing to speak about because obviously just yesterday, Jada, they did the whole red table talk that is just like it's something that is so like people can't really wrap their head around someone that you're with forcing themselves on you when you don't want it, you know? And 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 the ways that it was done to me is just like that's not consensual. You don't beat someone for 2 hours and then force yourself on them to have sex. I'm sorry. If I'm telling you no, I have two black eyes. I don't even know how you're bringing yourself to be aroused to even want to do something with me after you just made me look the way I looked. It's just a lot going on. And I could differentiate me being intimate or having like sex with my partner to him forcing himself on me in the manner that he did. And it's been multiple times. So it's just like it's not an accusation. He can say whatever he want. I mean, he pled guilty to 7 years of domestic violence.
And why do you think people weren't sympathetic to you? Why do you think people? Is it because of his fame and his status?
Absolutely. As like I said, he has a bigger voice than mine, so it's just like people are quick to hear what comes out of his mouth quicker than mine. It's just like I feel like when and I give guys that because a lot of women, especially with rappers and celebrities, you know women are shady. They're spiteful. Not I'm not speaking for the good women or about the good women. I'm speaking about the women that's directed to So I can understand the hype that's like sensationalized about a girl being trying to get even with you and saying you raped her, you beat her, all these horrible things to ruin your career. But I'm not I'm not trying to ruin your career. We have a kid together at the end of the day that we both need to take care of. So it's just like, why would I want to stop the way you make money? But if you're gonna speak on me, I'm gonna defend myself. If you're gonna say something, I just I like a lot of clarification. So it's just like there's some times where I'll just address it, and then there's times where I see people fishing for shit, just to say about me. So it's just like, or fishing for a reaction, or like gaslight in certain situations that I just pay no complete mind to.
So after he beat you for 2 hours and then raped you, what
Wow.
did he say to you?
He told me I couldn't leave his room, and I had
Wow.
to stay there till the morning.
See, as a woman hearing that story, I can't imagine having a child with someone like that because it's like on one hand, you had a beautiful relationship with your father, and I know that you always imagined that your daughter would have the same thing. So, with everything that's happened, and I'm sure you've done a lot of internal work with dealing with that, what kind of father is he now? Like, how do you navigate the man who did that to you versus the person who's the father of your child?
I feel like essentially that's the main goal. We want our kids to love us the way we love our parents if we have that relationship with our parents. But I feel like him being a father today is no different from him being a father 2 years ago or 4 years ago. It's just he's not present. And I mean, he likes to save our daughter for last, if you will. So it's just like my daughter, I know to me, she's my first priority. So it's kind of hurtful that you have a man who puts a lot of people first in his life besides his child.
And see, where I
Mm.
fell in love with your mom, and that was a great question, Blue. Where I fell in love with your mom was Your mom seems like the mama bear, but with an accent and from uptown. She ain't playing. She don't got no time for no bullshit.
I really
And
don't play. No.
no, and there was a video. And by the way, I hope people watching you and listening to this conversation are listening to it and looking at it through lenses that are clear of perception or opinion. Because I think what I'm hearing
Exactly.
is a young woman who's articulate, beautiful, comes from a good family, met a young boy, fell in love, had a kid. His life changed. He changed. They then changed, and she's the one who is the person getting all the shit for it. That's what I hear. And so I hope that's what people are receiving.
Mm.
Now, what I saw your mom, what I really fell in love with her was when you had done a video where you were talking about how he's not taking care of his kid or he's not there, not supporting. I don't see you out asking for Birkin bags, asking for cars, asking for trips. I see you talking about his lack of parenting and being involved in your kid's life, not being with you, not giving you clout, being in your kid's life, his kid's life. Why do you think people are missing that? I just feel like no matter the logic behind anything anybody says, people just totally don't get it when people say it. They just listen to what he says.
I mean, it's not about me and him. We're not together. So it's just like, I make that very clear. No matter, like, a lot of people get lost in translation when I speak, or the times that I do tell my story. When I tell my story and I speak on, or I get personal, for the few times that I do, like whether it's over live or something, people like to misconstrue it and be like, she's bitter. She's bitter. She wants him. Like, it's just like, no, I'm passionate. And the number one thing I'm passionate about is being a parent and my daughter. So it's just like, yes, it's gonna frustrate me when I see him not being equally as well involved, or just want. I don't see that, even if he didn't have the time, because him being who he is, just that genuine want. Like, you can't see your daughter, FaceTime her iPad. You can't, do certain. It's just certain things that I never built barrier or bridge, or made it difficult for him to be active. I don't have him on child support. Um, I've made it very
Does
clear.
does he does he help? Does he help financially at all?
No.
Not even a
What?
dollar. Not even a dollar.
He popped up into my daughter's life recently after he got off house arrest. I did allow him to see the baby. I didn't, like, we didn't have no real direct conversation. Everything's mediated through my mom. So she was the middle person in, us talking. I haven't spoken to the guy in almost 2 years. I had no conversation with him. He wasn't calling to check on the baby until like a whole year after he was already locked up, and he chose not to speak or reach out.
But this is what I said to Nia Guzman about Chris Brown, right? You didn't ask to get in a relationship with a rapper, but you did. I mean, you didn't ask to have a baby by a rapper, but you ended up having a baby by a man who became a rapper and became wealthy, who now has a responsibility. What is this not going after child support thing? I'm glad that Nia did it, and why are you not doing it?
No,
Hmm.
that's one thing. It's the idea of child support. People look at it as a ticket. It's so frustrating to me that I have to go to it's actually embarrassing that I have to go to a court to ask them that they mandate you to help me. I'm not asking you to provide a lifestyle. Just help, bro. And I feel like you should want to provide those things for your kids. You should want your kid to live as good as you. I'm not asking you to buy me a bag or to pay for anything for myself. I take care of myself. Just contribute and show interest and spend time with my daughter. That's it. That's all I like really press on, and that's where my frustration comes. His lack
But
of
Sarah,
interest.
Sarah, the way that Nia was able to get Chris to do that and to be more active and to show up and do what he was supposed to do, because your daughter deserves to live. I mean, she probably lives well now, but
Jason,
what I'm
can
saying
I
is,
can I ask you a question?
yes.
Chris Brown ain't walking around with 1,006 9s on his head, all over his body in wigs. All right, they're two different people. He's so far. the frustration I have with dealing, and I don't speak to him.
I almost want to say, first of all, I can't even deal with you right now. What she basically said was Chris Brown ain't walking around like a clown with a damn lace front on his neck. Like, I get
That's
it.
literally what
His
she
way of
said. That's
thinking,
literally what she
no,
said.
his way of thinking is completely different, I think, from the average man and person right now. I don't,
Clearly.
that's what I'm trying to
But
point
you're,
out.
but if he can go on the shade room and tell my friend Angie that he pays $15,000 for each wig he does, he can make sure that Soraya has a college fund set up, that she
Yep.
has any
Can
private
I, I'm
schooling
gonna
she wants to
gonna
go
be
to.
completely personal with you. He said he spent more on I think, on his girlfriend in 1 year than what he has put away for our daughter in a bank account.
Wow.
But that's the point. You have the power to go and hold him accountable. He ain't new to the
Yes,
courts.
and let me tell you something. I've gone, all right, so it was early 2019, and this was maybe a little after the last incident that he put his hands on me, and then he went away to jail and just completely cut all communication. So at this point, I don't know what's going on. I'm hearing he's cooperating. I'm hearing all these other things. So I'm like, he didn't leave us with anything. Completely, like, he left us out to dry while he got locked up
Mhm.
and took care of the people that he wanted to take care of. So I went to child support. I filed the case or whatever. I did all of that. When I went again to follow up. They're telling me that it's like obsolete. Like, there's nothing in the system. I don't have a case number, nothing under my name, nothing. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. I was just here last week
So
and
it just disappeared.
like it was deleted, like it was removed from the
Ooh.
system. So listen to this. The lady who was working the counter looking it up, anywhere I go, especially after that point, I was super under the radar. I didn't want to go to a public building in Brooklyn to family court to, just be spotted or whatever. I was taking caution with those things. So I had a hoodie on and she was like, I know who you are. And I'm like, do you? She goes, yeah. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm a publicist. And she was, I guess, promoting herself. And she goes, I'm going to be
The
called.
lady working at the courthouse.
Yeah. She was
This is
like,
I
messy.
can't.
she was
This is
like,
so messy.
there are people who remove cases. She was like, I'm gonna put it in and I'm gonna send it through for you. So I went ahead and I was like, I was grateful. I was like, oh my God, thank you. She's like, don't worry, get what you're supposed to get for your daughter. That's what she told me. So I had ended up moving. So the county that I moved to, I followed up with them. So again, it's removed out the system. And I'm not gonna lie, after hearing that it was taken out of the system, or how, I don't even know how it works, but they weren't finding anything, and I was going back and reapplying. It was so frustrating. So it's just like, you know what? I took it as he got a good fucking lawyer, okay? Because whoever it is that's removing my case, he's really not trying to help me. So it was just frustrating and embarrassing that I gotta keep on doing this for you to want to do for your daughter. So I just said, forget the whole thing.
That's interesting.
I'm gonna help you figure that
Disgusting.
out. I got a
That's
little
very
idea. I'm
interesting.
gonna help you figure that out because my mother did. I grew up with my mom who fell on drugs and my dad wasn't in my life, and when she got on drugs and even before then we struggled, and she would always talk about my dad's child support. That child support never showed up. He never paid it. This dude got the money to pay for it, and the fact that he can like just run around and talk about how
Oh.
much he's spending on wigs and not taking care of his
Ugly
daughter is not
wigs.
cool.
Ugly wigs, by the way. Go ahead.
No, it's just
So
like I've been through so much with this guy. It's just like I can't sit and even separate it for him, bring myself to the level to even go back to fighting with him in the slightest way that is just like it's not gonna do anything because he just does whatever he wants. Nobody could really tell him nothing, and it's always really been that way. So whenever he decides to be a dad, that's when it's gonna happen. Not because someone told him, not because a court is like. It's just that's just the way he's wired.
But
I
I think it's less about being a dad though, and more about protecting Soraya and making sure that she has
But that's
all
the
the
thing.
resources that she should have, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. My daughter right now is on the spectrum. Like she's on the spectrum for autism. Everything that services, all of that, that's me. Like me and my family and the people that I have around me that help with that. He doesn't help with that. I mean, the last conversation I had with him months ago, well, that he had with my mom in front of me because he can't bring himself to have any words to say to me. He was like acting as if he was involved or wanted to be involved with figuring that out. That didn't happen. He completely went MIA. He wanted to be on board with planning my daughter's birthday. Completely been MIA. He hasn't been around for months. And I feel like the only reason why he did come around a few months ago was, so he can later on that week have TMZ put out that he said sorry to me. He made amends with me. He sees his daughter. He provides after one initial meeting, after a whole year and a half of you not reaching out or doing what you said we're gonna do.
So so when he transitioned into the clown that we know now, were you ever when did you become concerned where his antics with all this blood gang stuff and the going to different hoods and disrespecting people's dead homies, did you ever feel like there could be a security issue for you and your daughter because people know who you are and know that
Jason,
he has a
yes.
daughter with you?
After all right, in 2018, after he got robbed, he hired one of the best security teams out there. So he had maybe like 10 guys around him building a wall that would be in my house every day, and all 10 of those guys would leave. Knowing that people came to my house and we didn't actually move yet, and they robbed him, they stuck him up or whatever. It was uneasy, especially with what he said to me. He told me like, what was said, like towards the guy that robbed him basically was like, who's upstairs inside? This is like what he told me, and he was like, Sarah, my mom, and the baby, please let me call her. He was like, this is from what Danny told me, the guy said.
Hmm.
He was like, all right, if she tries some funny shit, we're gonna have to shoot her. So
No.
yeah, so he told me that after the fact, and I didn't have my daughter home with me for a while until I figured out the whole relocating thing. Cause he still wanted to live where we were living cause he felt safe. Cause every day he walked out with all 10 of the security and didn't leave at least one or two home with me and his daughter. You know? I guess his safety was more important, but it's just, that's the way he saw it. So
And
my thing
was there ever a time when you felt like any day somebody could just show up and hurt you and your daughter?
My thing is, I feel because of the job that I've done, you know, um, like having made it very clear where I draw the line between me and him. Like I, I make it very clear he don't really care about us. So anyone with a brain knows, like if anything was to happen, God forbid, it's not gonna really do as much damage to him. He'll. It's unfortunate to him as sad and crazy as it is to hear it or as it sounds, anybody knows hurting us ain't really gonna hurt him.
Hmm.
That's
And so, okay,
infuriating. That's infuriating.
and so for timeline purposes, just so people are following this, because again, sometimes people don't hear, they just hear what they want to hear. You guys met in 2012. You were 15, 16 years old. Eventually got into a relationship, 18 years old, had a kid at 19. Now, in 2015, you weren't aware of the sexual assault case that he's in the news about, right?
I was with him before the case. I was with him after the case. My thing with that whole situation was I months before that I didn't really want to be with him. And I was, separating myself. I had moved out. But on my birthday, I did find out I was pregnant. So he ended up giving me this talk. He's all mouth, oh, we're gonna have this family. I was just tired of him trying to at this time he was building the whole Tekashi 6ix9ine name. So he was just being super disrespectful, suplexing girls on beds, just had this whole nasty demeanor that was slowly just turning me off and pushing me away. I was tired of seeing someone that I love and cared about on World Star every day because he's doing some stupid stuff to a girl. So I get it. Everybody was reposting him. Snoop Dogg, everybody. That's the most attention he ever got. So that's what he stuck to. But
And then he got addicted to it, I'm assuming.
yes, he did. And I had told him, I'm like, I don't want to be with you, but I'll see how this goes. Within that week, I think he got locked up. And I'm like, he's calling me from jail. I'm not really knowing what's going on. I get to the courtroom with his brother's girlfriend at the time because he was like, oh, he got court, got up here. And I'm hearing what his bail was. And then I'm hearing what the charges. I'm like, what did he do? It can't be worse than flipping a girl on the bed. And then that's when they read the papers, and he likes to put it wrong place, wrong time. It's just how is just the whole act of doing what you're doing still okay, no matter
But
what age.
what's interesting is the 13-year-old girl is saying that she was incoherent on drugs and did not consent to
You
sex
can't
with
blame a
him.
child. How are you blaming a
Yeah.
child? She was a little girl. It's just, I have a daughter. I'm not gonna say that's good for you. You had no business being there. You sure your kid had no business being there, but grown men shouldn't have business having a young girl in that setting, just herself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. She was a little girl. That's just what it is.
What are your thoughts about that? Do you think he likes little girls, or do you think it was wrong place,
No,
wrong time?
my
Or
thing is, I just feel like he saw one thing, and which is, I'm not gonna lie, he's always had this about himself. If he says he's gonna do something, he's gonna set forth to do it, no matter how it gets done. If he says he's gonna be famous, he's gonna do whatever it takes to be famous. If he says he's gonna be a rapper, if he says he's gonna hire all the best ghostwriters, he's gonna do whatever it is. That's just how he is. He's very over the top, and he likes to prove points from what we all can see. So it's just I never for once thought he had an attraction or issue with younger girls. It's just you obviously knew she was younger, whether you knew her exact age. It's not something you do. That's just what it was with that situation. And I felt like it was a part of him being selfish and young too. But I don't excuse it, no.
so now I got to ask you with Shadi. He recently
Hmm.
again on the conversation with Angie said that he had gone through your phone and saw some text messages with you and Shadi
No,
He went through
but
Shotty's phone.
went through
yeah.
Shadi's phone. Damage. Thank you, damage. Went through Shadi's phone, saw the text messages, and found out that you had allegedly slept with him. Did that happen, or did he make that up? Because that's what he uses as an excuse to why he hit you.
No, because he was hitting me way years before he even knew Shadi existed. He says whatever he wants to say to benefit him. That was something so salacious that was